Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast, bringing you smiles across the miles from the UK to wherever you are today. Today, I want to talk about motivation. So, some people say that motivation is a drive, something which comes when we need it, depending on how much we want that goal, how much we will gain, what we won't lose from achieving the goal, and also our personal expectations. Now, you see in each of those that you are the center, how much you want, what you will gain, what you will lose. And your personal expectations. I personally don't believe that we drive our own motivations. I believe that motivation is something always present with us. If you're not motivated to learn English and you are motivated to smoke a cigarette and watch a movie at your English learning time, then you are motivated. You're just not using it to be motivated to study. And that's more about wanting time to relax, wanting time to smoke your cigarette, to reflect on the very bitter argument you had last night with a friend or family member. Motivation is something which is always there, and it's something you can always choose to tap into. I know that some days it feels like there just isn't any motivation, but that's usually just because you're not really organized. And that also depends on what's attracting you to the goal. For example, learning English because it sounds nice is a really good idea, but it's not enough to keep you running every day to that same thing. Motivation is almost certainly always with us, and it provides us with goals to work towards, helps us to solve problems, helps us to change old habits, and helps us to cope with challenges and opportunities. I don't believe motivation is selfish, which is why I struggle with all of these things that motivation can do. You can be better, you can make more money, you can do this. Like the opening statements we had there, I believe that motivation is a force which is not selfish. And therefore, the more you can share it, the more you can share your goals, the more you can share your stuff with other people, will be a real help to them as well as yourself. Many of us forget that language, let me say the word again, language, hello, is really there to help all of humanity. It's something which has to be shared. It's what language is. It empowers you to be creative, to speak, to bring about a force of good in the world. So it's very difficult to redefine that into you sitting for 1 hour with a book, not talking to anybody. Can you imagine a child growing up in the world and not speaking to anyone or not having any way to communicate with another person? Wouldn't they be a little bit dysfunctional? I guess so. It depends, but maybe they learn how to rely on higher things, like higher definitions of the word motivation. I'm not saying that you have to rush out, move to the nearest mountain and sit cross-legged, but what I am saying is that at the earliest opportunity, you need to redefine what language learning is. If you have other people involved, even if that's just keeping a blog where you have 2 followers, very quickly your motivation will change because you're doing things for other people. And that, I think, is the reason why motivation is always with us. If we keep it wrapped up in a box, on top of a shelf, of course, we're never going to use it, and things are not really going to be getting easier or better. But the more you celebrate with other people, using your gift to help them, whether it's setting up a blog, helping your son with his English homework, there's a great deal of unity in that and a great deal of hope. So motivation is a little bit like love. It needs everyone to share it, and that lets it flow. And that's a very different thing from declaring, there's no motivation today, sorry, come back tomorrow and I'll have a look at my English book. It doesn't work that way. You need to make it and create it by bringing somebody else in. Go to Tandem or Hello Talk or italki or whatever, and just begin using these apps to bring other people in. And as you get to know them and discover that they're not serial killers, then you'll find that things are a lot more smooth. Well, so positive self-talk, mindfulness helps. But here's a few tips for sensing motivation around you or producing that sense of motivation. So, as we said yesterday, regularly reviewing your goals and progress, continuing to set new goals as you change. Think about what you want to achieve before Christmas. Keep up the momentum. It takes around 2 months to really get started in language learning, but don't let go of the site, especially with your free time. Find mentors or even just people who know you're doing this, and if that's not in your family, then I'm sorry for you, but go outside or go on the internet and find people who believe in you, and almost certainly have a look at where you're studying as well, because if you're living in an environment where there's no peace and your dining room table looks like it has bits of a radio all over it, then that might not be the best place for you. And surround yourself with positive people. Okay, I admit that's a hard one. The last time I found anyone positive around here. And use exercise as one of your daily goals. And I don't mean you rush out to sign up for the closest aerobics class and, wear leg warmers and some kind of bathing suit, throwing your hair in the air while listening to 80s rock music like Whitney Houston. No, what I mean is just make sure you get out the house and absorb some daylight. Light and water are two things very important to us, just to stay healthy. If you really aren't seeing motivation anywhere, remember, practically you can always review your goals. Remember why you wanted to be learning English in the first place. Take motivation from others. Go and watch an episode of Wonder Woman, or better still, somebody real who has changed the world. I find Martin Luther King quite inspiring. Yeah, there's actually a few people I like to watch on video clips. And sometimes we just need to take a break, just walk away for a few days, few weeks, and start out again. There is a website called reachout.com that has useful information on finding motivation, but yeah, I think it's there. You're probably old enough to know that motivation is not something absent. It's just simply something you have to tune into. Look after your mental health as well. That's really important these days. And turn off the news. I woke up this morning to, it was like the apocalypse, really. Doom, gloom, sadness, happiness, living standards going down, costs going up. But they didn't look at the other side of that. And that is even though there are some bad things, there's also some good things. Our government, I think, is putting up taxes, but that doesn't affect those of us who don't earn very high amounts. They're also putting up government benefits by 10% to ensure that those people who are very vulnerable are fully protected. So you see, there's two sides to everything. So put away the news and stop worrying about the future and just focus on the things that bring you joy. Joy, another synonym for motivation, at least it should be anyway. So don't worry if you don't feel motivated today. That's perfectly fine. But just take time to review why that might be. Don't blame it on anyone, but just begin to realize that there is space there for you to begin if you follow that little light. Okay, that's it from me. See you all. Bye.